3:47 a.m., 9 states, 67 doors, 840 federal agents, 1 command, execute. August 14th, 2024. The Arizona desert was silent, not for long. Above the rocky terrain, thermal imaging satellites locked onto a compound hidden between the mountains. Inside those walls, $4.7 billion worth of poison. Outside, the largest coordinated federal strike force in U.S. history prepared to move. This wasn't a drug bust. This was war. For 16 months, they had hunted him. El Arquitecto, the architect, former Mexican military colonel turned cartel kingpin, 15 years building an empire that stretched across 9 states, 67 distribution centers, 840 active members, his own fleet of 14 narco-submarines, a ghost that federal agencies couldn't catch, until now. It started with blood. 3 weeks earlier, DEA agent Marcus Webb was found dead in a warehouse outside Houston. 8 bullets, execution style. His body left with a note pinned to his chest. 4 words in Spanish. Los Fantasmas no perdonan. The phantoms don't forgive. Agent Webb had spent 18 months undercover inside the cartel's Texas cell. He was 4 days from extraction. Someone leaked his identity. Someone inside law enforcement. The betrayal cut deep. When the news reached Washington, the room went silent. The director of the FBI stood at the head of the table, his jaw tight. The Attorney General looked at satellite photos spread across the desk. Warehouses, safe houses, distribution routes, all marked in red. The cartel's network looked like a spiderweb covering half the country. California, Texas, Arizona, New Mexico, Florida, Georgia, Illinois, New York, Pennsylvania. 9 states, 67 known locations. Thousands of lives destroyed every month. The president's order came through encrypted channels at 11:47 p.m. that night. 4 words: bring them down. Hard. If you believe federal power should be unleashed on cartels without mercy, hit that like button, because what happened next will redefine justice. Operation Thunderstrike was born in a secure facility outside Quantico. 7 federal agencies, 1 mission: FBI Hostage Rescue Team, DEA Special Operations Division, ATF Tactical Units, ICE Homeland Security Investigations, U.S. Marshals Fugitive Task Force, Department of Homeland Security, Border Patrol Tactical Teams, 840 federal agents mobilized in total secrecy, the largest coordinated strike force ever assembled on U.S. soil. The lead tactical commander was a 22-year FBI veteran who had taken down MS-13 cells, Russian mob networks, and domestic terror groups. He stood in front of a digital map glowing with red markers. 67 targets, each one a piece of the empire. Strip malls in Los Angeles, auto repair shops in Phoenix, warehouses in Miami, apartment complexes in Chicago, normal-looking places hiding millions in drugs, guns, and cash. The plan was surgical. Every location would be hit simultaneously. No warnings, no second chances. If even one site got tipped off, the entire network could scatter like roaches when the lights turn on. Timing was everything. 3:47 a.m. The hour when human reaction time is slowest, when guards get tired, when mistakes happen. For 21 days, agents prepared. Surveillance drones tracked every movement. Undercover units mapped interior layouts. Financial analysts traced money flows through shell companies and offshore accounts. Cyber teams hacked encrypted cartel communications, every phone call, every text message, every payment. The noose tightened inch by inch. On August 10th, intelligence intercepted a message that changed everything. El Arquitecto himself was scheduled to be at the Arizona fortress on August 14th. a meeting with his regional commanders. The ghost would finally step into the light. The commander updated the mission brief. Primary objective: dismantle the network. Secondary objective: capture El Arquitecto alive. The fortress sat 40 miles outside Tucson. From the air, it looked like an abandoned mining facility, rusted equipment, empty buildings. But thermal imaging told a different story. 200 heat signatures inside, armed guards patrolling 24/7, reinforced walls, surveillance towers. This wasn't a drug house, it was a military installation. El Arquitecto had built his empire on discipline, former military. He ran the cartel like an army: ranks, chains of command, operational security. His men were trained. His weapons were military grade: AK-47s, AR-15s. 40 RPG launchers seized later would prove just how prepared they were. Taking this fortress wouldn't be a raid, it would be a siege. Which federal agency do you trust most? FBI, DEA, or ATF? Comment below. August 13th, 6 p.m. Staging areas across 9 states came alive. In California, FBI SWAT teams loaded into black Suburbans. In Texas, DEA tactical operators checked their breaching charges. In Florida, ICE agents synchronized watches. In New York, U.S. Marshals reviewed floor plans one last time. 67 teams, 67 targets. Every agent knew the stakes. One mistake, one leak, and the entire operation could collapse. The assets deployed were staggering. 47 Black Hawk helicopters, 18 fixed-wing surveillance aircraft, 200 armored vehicles, 340 breaching charges, 840 sets of tactical gear, 12 mobile command centers, and overhead, silent and invisible, 60 reconnaissance drones, mapping every inch of cartel territory. The federal government wasn't just responding, it was overwhelming. At 11:30 p.m., the final briefing went out over encrypted channels. All units, Operation Thunderstrike, H-hour, 3:47 a.m., rules of engagement, lethal force authorized if threatened, priority, hostage safety, civilian protection, then agent capture. The message ended with 3 words: no room for error. Across the country, agents tried to sleep. Some couldn't. They thought about Agent Webb, about the families destroyed by fentanyl, about the kids who would never grow up because of the poison this cartel spread, about the dirty cops who had sold their badges for cartel cash. Tomorrow, the reckoning would come. 3 a.m. The convoy began moving toward the Arizona fortress. No lights, no sirens, just the low rumble of engines cutting through the desert night. 8 armored vehicles, 4 mobile tactical units, 120 agents, 6 snipers positioned on surrounding ridges. Above, 2 Blackhawks circled in the darkness, their rotors barely audible. Thermal cameras watched every window, every door, every guard. Inside the command center 12 miles away, screens showed all 67 targets simultaneously. Green lights next to each location, teams in position, waiting. The tactical commander's voice was calm. All stations, radio check. One by one, team leaders responded. Alpha ready, Bravo ready, Charlie ready, down the line. 67 teams, 67 confirmations. The commander looked at the clock. 3:46 a.m. He lifted his radio. All units, Thunderstrike is go. Move in, 3, 2, 1, execute. The Arizona fortress erupted first. Flashbangs detonated like thunder. 4 breaching charges blew the reinforced doors off their hinges. Smoke poured into the compound. FBI hostage rescue teams stormed through, weapons raised, voices cutting through the chaos. Federal agents, hands up, get down now. The guards inside barely had time to react. Some reached for their weapons. Bad choice. The agents moved with precision, room by room, hallway by hallway, 200 armed cartel members inside, 120 federal agents outside, but the agents had surprise, training, and overwhelming firepower. In Los Angeles, a strip mall that sold cell phone accessories had 400 kilograms of cocaine hidden behind a false wall. DEA agents smashed through the front door at exactly 3:47 a.m. The two guards inside dropped their guns immediately. In Miami, a warehouse supposedly storing construction equipment held 12 tons of methamphetamine stacked floor to ceiling. ATF tactical units secured it in 4 minutes. In Chicago, an apartment complex that looked like student housing was actually a cartel safe house. U.S. Marshals arrested 18 members without a single shot fired. Simultaneously, across 9 states, 67 doors exploding at the exact same moment. The cartel's nervous system was severed in seconds. Back at the Arizona fortress, resistance was fierce. The cartel's elite guards had barricaded themselves in the central building. Automatic weapons fire ripped through the pre-dawn darkness. Bullets sparked off armored vehicles. But federal agents didn't retreat. They advanced, methodically, relentlessly. Snipers on the ridges picked off guards in the towers. Breaching teams moved through smoke and gunfire. The Black Hawks above illuminated the compound with spotlights, turning night into day. At 4:11 a.m., agents reached the main operations center. Inside, El Arquitecto stood behind a steel desk, surrounded by his top commanders. Ledgers, laptops, stacks of cash, weapons. The room went silent as the door exploded inward. Federal agents poured in. El Arquitecto's hand moved toward a pistol on the desk. "Don't." The voice was ice cold. The weapon stayed where it was. For 15 years, he had evaded capture, built an empire, corrupted officials, killed anyone who threatened him. Now, he stood frozen as plastic zip ties were pulled tight around his wrists. The architect's empire was crumbling, and he knew it. But El Arquitecto had one final card to play: a hidden door behind a false wall, a tunnel leading 200 yards to an underground hangar. Inside that hangar sat a Eurocopter, fueled and ready. While agents swept the fortress, El Arquitecto's personal security team moved him through the tunnel. By 4:28 a.m., the helicopter was airborne, rotors screaming as it banked hard toward the Mexican border. The command center erupted. "Target is airborne. Repeat, El Arquitecto is in the wind." But the FBI had planned for this. 90 seconds later, 2 F-16 Fighting Falcons screamed across the sky. The jets had been on standby at Davis-Monthan Air Force Base, 60 miles away. Now they flanked the fleeing helicopter, their weapon systems locked. The radio crackled. "Unidentified aircraft. You are ordered to land immediately, or you will be shot down." Inside the helicopter, El Arquitecto stared at the fighter jets. His pilot's hands were shaking. There was no outrunning an F-16, no outmaneuvering it, no escape. The helicopter descended slowly, landing in the desert 8 miles from the fortress. When DEA agents pulled El Arquitecto from the cockpit, his face showed no emotion. The ghost had been caught. The architect's final blueprint had failed. How long should a cartel kingpin serve? 20 years, life, or execution? Comment your answer. By 7:30 a.m., the scale of Operation Thunderstrike became undeniable. The mobile command centers received reports from all 67 locations. Every single target secured. Not one escaped. The seizures were staggering. In Arizona alone, agents found 94 tons of cocaine. 94 tons. Bricks stacked in a climate-controlled warehouse like shipping pallets. In Texas, 67 tons of crystal methamphetamine. In Florida, 18 tons of heroin. The total street value, $4.7 billion. Enough poison to kill millions. But the drugs were only part of it. $340 million in cash, vacuum sealed, hidden in walls, buried underground, stuffed into furniture. The cartel had so much money they couldn't spend it fast enough. 847 weapons, AK-47s, AR-15s, sniper rifles, grenade launchers, explosives, enough firepower to outfit a small army. 14 narco submarines, custom-built vessels capable of carrying 10 tons of cocaine per trip, each sub worth $2 million, all seized. And then came the arrests that shocked the nation. 723 cartel members in custody. But 47 of those arrests were police officers, cops who had taken cartel money to look the other way, to tip off raids, to protect shipments. In one Arizona precinct, the deputy chief was led out in handcuffs. He had been on El Arquitecto's payroll for 8 years, earning $50,000 a month, betraying his badge, betraying his community. 12 customs officials, paid to wave cartel trucks through border checkpoints. 8 local politicians. Campaign contributions traced directly to cartel shell companies. The corruption ran deeper than anyone imagined. These weren't criminals in the shadows. They were officials with badges, with oaths, with the public's trust, and they had sold it all for cash. In Massachusetts months earlier, similar betrayals had rocked a state. Now, in 9 states simultaneously, the same poison was being purged. Every dirty cop, every corrupt official, every traitor who had chosen cartel money over American lives, all exposed, all arrested, all facing justice. The media helicopters arrived by 9 a.m. News cameras captured federal agents walking suspects out in handcuffs, truckloads of cocaine being transported under armed guard, rows of seized weapons laid out on tarps for evidence documentation. The images were broadcast worldwide. Los Fantasmas, the phantoms, the cartel that claimed to be invisible, now exposed in the harsh light of day for the entire world to see. El Arquitecto was transported to a federal detention facility under maximum security. No bail, no contact with the outside world. His arraignment was set for 10 days later. The charges read like a war crimes tribunal: conspiracy to distribute controlled substances, 840 counts, racketeering, money laundering, murder of a federal agent, corruption of public officials. Each charge carried decades. Combined, he would never breathe free air again. If you believe operations like this should happen every month, type yes in the comments. If you think federal power should be unleashed harder, type harder. In the days after Thunderstrike, analysts began piecing together the full scope of Los Fantasmas. The cartel had been operating for 15 years, starting small in Mexico, growing, adapting, bribing, killing, expanding into the United States one city at a time. By 2024, they controlled distribution networks in 9 states. Their monthly revenue, $390 million. Their annual profits, $4.7 billion. More than some Fortune 500 companies. But the most disturbing discovery came from encrypted files on El Arquitecto's laptop. Lists, names, addresses, future targets. The cartel had been planning to expand into 6 more states: Ohio, Michigan, Colorado, Nevada, Washington, Oregon. They were building new tunnels under the border, buying more submarines, recruiting more corrupt officials. If Operation Thunderstrike had happened even 6 months later, the network would have been twice as large, twice as powerful, twice as deadly. Federal prosecutors built their case with ruthless efficiency. The evidence was overwhelming. 12,000 hours of surveillance footage, 340,000 intercepted communications, financial records showing $1.8 billion laundered through 47 shell companies, testimony from 60 cooperating witnesses, former cartel members who chose to testify rather than face life sentences, each one adding another piece to the puzzle, each one proving what everyone already knew. Los Fantasmas had poisoned America for over a decade, and now the reckoning had come. The trial lasted 8 weeks. El Arquitecto sat silent, expressionless, as witness after witness detailed the empire he had built, the murders he had ordered, the officials he had corrupted, the communities he had destroyed. On November 3, 2024, the jury deliberated for 4 hours. Guilty, on all counts. The judge's sentence was delivered without emotion. Life in federal prison, no possibility of parole, multiple consecutive life terms. El Arquitecto would die in a cell. His empire erased, his legacy destruction. The 47 corrupt law enforcement officers faced their own trials. Some pled guilty, others fought and lost. The sentences were severe: 20 years, 30 years. Some received life. The message was clear: if you wear a badge and betray it, you will be treated as a traitor. The shield is sacred. Those who desecrate it will pay the highest price. Across the 9 states, communities breathed easier. Drug overdoses dropped 34% in the first 6 months after Thunderstrike. High schools reported fewer students using. Emergency rooms saw fewer fentanyl cases. Parents buried fewer children. The cartel's poison pipeline had been severed, not completely. There would always be others trying to fill the void. But Los Fantasmas, the empire that had seemed untouchable, was gone. The 840 federal agents who participated in Thunderstrike received commendations. No names released publicly for security reasons, but in quiet ceremonies, in secure facilities, they were honored. The largest coordinated strike in federal law enforcement history. 67 targets, 67 successes, 0 agent fatalities, 1 cartel destroyed. The FBI director stood before a congressional committee and delivered a simple message. When federal agencies unite, when we coordinate, when we commit resources without hesitation, no criminal network is beyond our reach. Los Fantasmas thought they were invisible. They were wrong. This operation proves that overwhelming federal power, applied with precision, can dismantle any threat. And we will do it again, and again, until every cartel, every gang, every criminal enterprise understands one truth: America will not tolerate those who poison our communities. Operation Thunderstrike sent a shockwave through the criminal underworld. Rival cartels watched as Los Fantasmas collapsed in a single night. The Sinaloa Cartel, the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, the Gulf Cartel. All of them saw what happened when the full weight of U.S. federal power descended. 840 agents, 7 agencies, unlimited resources, total commitment. The message was clear: you are not safe. We will find you. We will coordinate. We will strike. And you will fall. In Mexico, cartel leaders increased their security. Some went deeper underground. Others considered retiring. Because Thunderstrike proved something terrifying to them. The United States government, when fully unleashed, was an unstoppable force. No walls, no tunnels, no submarines, no bribes. Nothing could protect them when 840 federal agents moved as one. The Arizona fortress, once a symbol of cartel power, was demolished. Bulldozers reduced it to rubble. The land was seized under federal asset forfeiture laws. Sold. The proceeds distributed to victim compensation funds. Families who had lost loved ones to overdoses. Communities that had been devastated by the cartel's poison. The money couldn't bring back the dead, but it was something. A small measure of justice. The 14 narco submarines were put on display at the DEA Museum in Arlington, Virginia. Visitors stare at them in disbelief. Custom-built vessels, fiberglass hulls, diesel engines, capable of crossing the Pacific undetected, each one a testament to the cartel's sophistication, and each one now a trophy, evidence of their defeat. Quiz time. What was the largest drug seizure in Operation Thunderstrike? A. 30 tons, B. 94 tons, C. 150 tons. Think about it. The answer is coming. Today, El Arquitecto sits in ADX Florence, the Supermax prison in Colorado, where America sends its most dangerous criminals. 23 hours a day in a concrete cell, 1 hour of exercise in a cage, no human contact, no phone calls, no visitors. The architect who built an empire now lives in a tomb. His days are silent. His future is nothing. He will die there, forgotten. The 47 corrupt officers serve their time in different facilities. Some have tried to appeal. All have failed. Their badges are gone. Their pensions revoked. Their names disgraced. In the law enforcement community, they are ghosts. Cautionary tales told to rookies. This is what happens when you betray the shield. But Operation Thunderstrike did more than destroy a cartel. It sent a message to every federal agent in America. When we work together, we are unstoppable. When we coordinate, we dominate. When we commit fully, no criminal organization can stand against us. The operation became a case study at Quantico, at the DEA Training Academy, at every federal law enforcement training facility. This is how it's done. This is what overwhelming power looks like. For the families of victims, Thunderstrike brought something that had seemed impossible: closure. The cartel that had destroyed their lives was gone. The men who had profited from death were in prison. The corrupt officials who had enabled it all were disgraced. Justice, delayed, but delivered. And for America, Thunderstrike proved something essential. When criminal organizations threaten our communities, when they corrupt our institutions, when they poison our children, the federal government has the power to respond. Not with half measures, not with tolerance, but with overwhelming, coordinated, unstoppable force. 840 agents, 7 agencies, 1 mission, 1 night, total victory. The answer to the quiz? B. 94 tons of cocaine, the largest single-location drug seizure in U.S. history, found in that Arizona fortress, enough to supply the entire West Coast for 6 months, now sitting in evidence, awaiting destruction. Should federal operations like Thunderstrike become the standard response to cartels? Should corrupt officials face harsher penalties? Which agency impressed you most in this operation? Answer in the comments below. And if you stand with the 840 agents who risked everything to destroy Los Fantasmas, hit that like button. Share this story. Because when Americans understand the scale of the threat and the power of our response, criminals have nowhere to hide. Subscribe to SWAT Power, where federal force meets absolute justice, where overwhelming power crushes criminal empires, where 840 agents prove that when America strikes, empires fall. The war against the cartels continues. The next operation is already being planned. The next criminal organization is already being hunted. And when the order comes, when the command is given, federal power will strike again. Overwhelming, decisive, total. Los Fantasmas thought they were untouchable. They were ghosts, invisible, invincible. They were wrong. Justice found them, and justice destroyed them. That is the promise of American law enforcement. That is the power of federal coordination. That is what happens when 840 agents move as one. Thunderstrike wasn't just an operation. It was a declaration to every cartel, every gang, every criminal enterprise. Your time is running out. We are coming, and when we arrive, you will fall.